the thing that worries people still is that there'll be some kind of incident in the north, something on the Lebanese border, where many people are killed on one side or the other, and then we start walking down an escalating pathway toward a new confrontation, and that's everybody's tiptoeing around that. People are also kind of tiptoeing around the situation in the Red Sea with the Houthis, this rebel group that keeps trying to shoot at ships of all kinds passing through the Red Sea. So far, they haven't really done any damage, substantial damage anyway. But there's always a chance. Just one lucky or unlucky shot that kills people, that destroys a ship, and suddenly sets the region on fire again. Everybody's kind of walking on eggshells, hoping that one of these little secondary crises around the region doesn't suddenly erupt into something much bigger and much, much more dangerous.
Do you anticipate the current dynamic in the Red Sea being that catalyst?
It has that potential, and I've spent some time looking at this, and I've been to Yemen before. I know it's a place it's hard for most Americans to even imagine. It's these old medieval cities, people living in extreme poverty, this wild, barren wastelands in the interior. It's just kind of a crazy place to be at. And here you have this really bizarre group, these Houthis. It's kind of cult-like. They're aligned with the Iranians, but they have a slightly different faith, and they don't seem like they're anyone we should take that seriously. And yet they have some pretty significant military capabilities and a lot of ability to make mischief with anti-ship missiles, particularly, which they've got a lot of, and they're pretty good at using them, and other kinds of drones and ground land-to-land missiles that could strike a target and make things much more unstable in the region. It hasn't happened yet. You've seen just in the last few weeks when we're making this taping, multiple strikes against these Houthis, trying to kind of warn them, stand back, stop going down this road. And we have to hope that works. But it's definitely one of several kind of powder kegs that's out there at the moment that just an unlucky break could set things off in a sort of dangerous escalatory way.
Some of the commentary that I've heard around the bombings is that it's almost just a show of force, but nothing more than that. I believe even Biden said, he was quoted on some video by a reporter, that, is the bombing working? No, but is it going to continue? Yes. Yeah. And I've heard that kind of matched with the idea that, Saudi Arabia has been bombing Yemen for a long time, and yet the Houthis are still there and still strong enough to cause this level of chaos.
Yeah, that's a really good observation, because, you could see, I think a lot of people who don't understand the region that well were surprised that we didn't bomb sooner, because, what do these guys mean? They're going to start shooting at just commercial ships and tankers in commercial waterways. We just ought to swat them down and, do something about it. But, it's funny. One of the countries that have been begging us not to do that are the Saudis, who used to be at war with the Houthis, because they don't want this thing erupting again. And, they had essentially put a lid on a conflict that had been going on for a decade. Things had started to settle down. The last thing they want is to have a whole new, war kind of breaking out on their back door. And the other point with the Houthis is they, in a weird way, they welcome this. They love kind of, beating their chest and telling their people that, oh, we're fighting a superpower and look how tough we are. And you can't really deter them, because, as one analyst said to me not too long ago, you can't bomb them to the Stone Ages. They're already in the Stone Ages. So it's a group that doesn't get deterred very easily in the traditional ways. There aren't many levers to make them change their behavior. So the strategy so far is just, hit them, show them that we have the capabilities. We can see where their missile storage sites and launch sites are, and we can come after you if you keep going down this path. But everybody's being very careful, and I think maybe even the Houthis trying not to be so destructive or take so many lives that everybody gets really, spun up and does something, moves it on to the next level. It's all a bit controlled. And if you can keep that balance for a while, I guess that's a good thing.